Alright guys, so I'm just going to show you how to analyze your data, like I said, using this example that I have here. So we're going to go to responses. To download the data in Excel, you're going to click these three buttons here, or buttons, this vertical line with the three dots. Download the responses. So it'll download into a zip file, and you'll have the .csv file here. Okay, so now I have my data. The first thing I want to do is save it as an Excel file. And I'll just put it on my desktop. Then what I'm going to do is recode these names here and the scales to something else. So I'll have my key over here. So I'm going to say for gender, female, yeah, I'll just do it this way. Female equals 1, male equals 2. And the reason I'm using initials is because if I put female, it'll change it to when I recode it. So if you put your key in another file, you can write it out. Anyway, so race, I'm going to say white equals 1. What's next? Latino equals 2. And black equals 3. And then for my scales, I have from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So I'm just going to have the scales here. So strongly disagree equals 1. Disagree equals 2. Agree equals 3. And then strongly agree equals 4. All right, so now we're ready to recode. All right, so what we want to do is go to, it's a little different on the Mac. Fine. If you have a PC, it'll be a button right here where it'll say find and replace. You can also go to edit, find, replace, and this is on a Mac. So what do I want to find? I want to find female, and I want to replace it with 1. See right here, I have 1. And then I'm going to press replace all. Okay. And then I want to find male and replace that with a 2. Okay, all done. Now I want to replace white with 1. Again, replace all. Latino / Latina, I'm replacing with 2. Oops. Replace all. Okay. And then black, I'm replacing with 3. All right. Now we get into our scales. So remember in class we had the issue of it changing, like the disagree. We'll figure it out. So strongly disagree is 1. We're going to do replace all. Let's actually do strongly agree second, and that's going to be replaced with a 4. Okay, and then we'll do agree is 3. And then do you see how it changed disagree to dis3? What you would have to do is put dis3 now, and then you want that to be a 2. Okay, and so you can close that now. Now everything has been replaced. What we need to do too is label our questions up top. So I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to move this. Let's go back to our questions. I know my very first question is gender. My second one is race. And then that's this third one, column D, is where I start with the self-esteem scale. So I have SE1, SE2, SE3, SE4, and just keep going. SE8. Okay, and then I have 10 items here, so I know that's where I need to stop. And then my next scale is that ethnic identification scale, which is called the MEME. So I'm just going to call it MEME, Multicultural Ethnic Identity Measure. So MEME 1, MEME 2, and then I'm just going to label these. 5, 6, 8, 9. I don't suggest just putting 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, because I'm sure you have more than one scale, so then you need to be able to differentiate. Okay, so now that we have that done, the next step is to reverse score anything that needs, or anything that is written in negative language. For example, and I'll just pull up, okay, the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. Okay, and this one tells you at the bottom what needs to be reversed. So we need 2, 5, 6, 8, and 9 reversed, but I'll show you here. You want the negatively worded items to be reversed. So number 2 is, at times I think I am no good at all. This is negatively worded, so you want to reverse this. 5 is, I feel I do not have much to be proud of. This again is negatively worded. You want to reverse that, and the same goes for 6, 8, and 9. So what I'm going to do is insert columns where I need them. So when you insert in Excel, it'll insert a column to your left. So that's why I highlighted this, so it'll go on my left. And then I'm going to call this SE2 underscore R. So now you know this is the reversed one. And then I'm going to do the same thing for 5, 6, 8, and 9. Okay. Insert SE. Insert. Okay. So I'm just right-clicking in order to get this to show up. So I'm going to insert again, SE9R. Okay. If you want, you can even highlight these, so then you know these are the ones that you want. You can highlight the ones that you want to copy and paste later. So I know I want number 1, this one, this one, this one. Make sure you're selecting the reverse ones. And 10. If you make this bigger, it'll show up there. So let's just highlight them yellow. Okay, so in order to reverse score, like I was saying, you want to go one higher than the number of scale points that you have. So we have max of 4 down here. You see it's 4. So we want to minus whatever was answered for 2, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Minus them by, or subtract them from 5. So let's do equals 5 minus this. And then you can either drag or you can double click this little square here. So again, equals 5 minus this. And then I'm just going to get that little black plus sign and double click. Okay, equals 5 minus that. And just either, again, drag or double click, whatever you feel comfortable with. Equals 5 minus, and that minus is just a dash. Enter. Let's go back to it. Okay. And then the last one here equals 5 minus and that. Okay, and let's just double click now. Alright, so now what we have to do, you can either do this one by one where you just copy and paste, or you can select them all. If you want to select them all, you just have to make sure that on a Mac you're pressing Command the whole time. On a PC you're pressing the CTRL, the control button, okay? So let's do that. I'm just doing Control Z. So if you ever have anything like highlighted like that that you want to get rid of, you see if you click out of it, it doesn't get rid of, you just press Escape. So I'm going to highlight this, press Command, and then highlight the ones that I have highlighted yellow. Okay, then Command C or Control C, depending on the computer you're using, and then I'm just going to move down a little bit, and this is very important. You need to do paste special. So wherever you click where you want to put it, you're going to right click, paste special. This is the pop-up box that'll come up on a Mac. On a PC, it'll just show up when you right click. Values. On a PC, you're going to have a clipboard that has the numbers 1, 2, 3 on it. That's what you're clicking, okay? So you press OK. I'm going to show that again. We can do Command Z to get rid of that. So again, right click, paste special, values, okay? Now this is your, I'm just going to center it and bold it. These are the self-esteem scores. So what I'm going to do too is move these down. I don't have to worry about pasting the values here because I don't have to worry about a formula. When you have a formula and you're copying and pasting, make sure that you do right-click, paste special, values. Okay? Alright, so I'm also going to bring down the meme scores. These are all positively worded, so there's nothing that needs to be reverse scored. I'm going to put a little bit of space there, and there we go. Just because I like things organized, just because I like things organized a certain way, I'm just going to center and bold. Okay, this just makes it easier for me to read. And before I move on, actually what I'm going to do is highlight this and move it over, just so I don't accidentally highlight these two. Okay, so what I want to do now is highlight all of the numbers that I want to sort. Okay, we can just do this now. And we want to sort by gender. So we're going to go to Sort and Filter, Custom Sort, and we're going to sort by column B, okay, smallest to largest, and then you just press OK. All right, so what I like to do is add some space between where the first group ends and the second group begins. So let me actually move this down a little bit. On a PC, it'll look like, instead of this little hand, it'll be like a plus sign with arrows at the end of each one, and then you can like move wherever you want. Whatever you highlighted, okay, you can move it. So, let's highlight these two rows, and then I just hovered over the 12 here because I know this is where I want rows to be inserted above. So you highlight these two rows because I want 2 rows in between, and then I get 2 blank rows. Okay? So I'm going to move this over to, okay. So I want the average self-esteem, and to do that I'm going to put an equal sign, average, and then just highlight this row. This is, each row is one participant, okay? And then I'm going to just go down, and you can just delete these. You just right click, clear contents, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing here. Average mean equals average, and we start here. Okay, now let's, if you do the double click, it only goes, it stops where the last filled in cell is, so it won't like fill these ones. So you can just drag from here and do that, okay? All right. So I'm going to make a little table here so everything is organized. I have my average. Actually, let's do this with female average. Female SD. Oops. Male average. Male SD. This is self-esteem, and this is mean. Okay. Now, the female average, what I'm going to do is equal average, and just highlight all of the females. For the standard deviation, it's equals STDEV, and you're highlighting the same thing that you highlighted for the average, okay? So the female average for self-esteem is 2.6 with a standard deviation of 1.27. Now let's do the males. Equals average, and you highlight that, and then the same thing highlighted for average, you're going to highlight for standard deviation, enter. Okay, now let's do that for the mean. So equals average. So we got our females here. Oops. Equals average. Equals STDEV. All right, so now we have our average for all the females for self-esteem and the meme scale, and the same goes for male average. Now, we have to figure out Cohen's D. Okay, so I'm going to do it for just self-esteem, and it would be the same thing for your second scale. So I want to look at difference in self-esteem by gender. Okay, so I would need to do M1 minus M2. I need my average standard deviation, and then I can calculate Cohen's D. Okay, so for this, you're going to put equals, click your first mean, minus your second mean, enter. And then for the average standard deviation, you're going to do equals average, your first standard deviation, comma, and you see how it highlighted the second number, or bolded it, this. Okay? I mean, obviously this is going to be 0, but I'm just showing you, equals this, divided by just a slash, this. Now we got a Cohen's D of 0. So that means there's absolutely no difference in self-esteem by gender. But for the sake of this example, let's make a bar graph. So I'm going to label it here. Self-esteem by gender bar graph. Okay. So I'm going to label this female, male, and it's very important that you do that. And I'm going to show you what happens if you just do Command V or Control V. It produces an error, okay? So make sure that you do paste special. Let's copy that again. Copy, paste special, values, okay? And then you want to do the same thing for males. Right click, paste special, values. Okay. Alright, so the reason we are labeling this here is because it'll label the bars for us, okay? And that's very important. If you don't have your bars labeled, then the person looking at your graph won't know which bar belongs to which group, okay? So now I have this highlighted. I'm going to go to Insert. And then this thing that looks like a bar graph, I'm just going to do the basic one. Okay? You don't need to get all fancy. Alright, so let's move this down a little bit. Now, you see that this scale looks ridiculous, so I'm going to click this. So I double clicked. Okay, I'm going to go here to my Axis Options. And I have the bounds here, okay, so I just went Axis Options and then I clicked on this Axis Options, okay. I'm going to change this minimum, which is right here, to 0. Okay, that looks better. Alright. Then you can either do it here. It looks a little different on a PC. You have that little plus sign where you can add stuff. On a Mac, you're just going to go to Add Chart Element. You're going to add Axis Titles. Okay, so for the horizontal, I'm going to say gender, and you can just type it up here and press enter and it'll change it, or you can just double click in there and change it. Okay, and then go back to Add Chart Element, primary vertical. I'm just going to click in here, average self-esteem. Okay, we don't need a chart title. I just clicked on that. Do that again. Click on it, and delete. Okay, so I'm also going to show you how in APA style we don't title our graphs, we instead put captions. So this is what I'm expecting to see in your paper. So you're going to say figure 1, period, end italics, and then just say average self-esteem by gender. Okay? And that's it. Actually, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This is written in sentence case. I'm so used to writing titles. This is written in sentence case, so average self-esteem by gender. The only thing capitalized is the A. Okay? So this is what I would be looking for in your paper. All right. So the last thing we'd have to do here is Pearson's R. And I want to see if there's a correlation between ethnic identification and self-esteem. And in terms of directionality, I want to see if self-esteem has an impact on, or excuse me, if the ethnic identification has an impact on self-esteem. So I'm going to copy and paste the oh, sorry, first let's do Pearson's R. So let's label it. Okay, so equals Pearson. You can either do equals Pearson or you can do equals Corel. Either one works. So let's just stick with Pearson. Okay, so this is going to be my x-axis. Do not highlight the label, okay? And then you press comma, go over here, highlight this column of numbers, and then press enter. And my Pearson's R is 0.98, which signifies a very strong correlation between ethnic identification and self-esteem. Now, to do the scatter plot, what I'm going to do, let's do the scatter plot data. So copy, and I want to put the meme on the left-hand side because X is first and then Y. Okay, let's copy this. Values. Okay. All right. So just highlight all of this. For some reason, it doesn't actually label your axes, so you don't actually have to highlight the labels there. But you're just going to go to Insert. You have your scatter plot here. Okay. You click the first one, and you see it's an almost perfect line. All right. So let me move this down here. Get rid of your chart title because we don't use that in APA. The axis scales look fine, so I'm good with that. But I do need to label my axes. This is going to be ethnic identification. I don't just want to call it meme because your readers may not know what that is, so just label what it's trying to measure, okay? And then axis title, primary vertical, and let's call this self-esteem. Okay, and then We need a figure 2. In your paper, make sure where the word figure starts is aligned with the beginning of your chart. Okay? So let's say I move this like right there. Okay. So now it's aligned. Again, you want this part italicized. This is my second figure, so figure 2, period, end italics. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to call this correlation between ethnic identification and self-esteem. Okay? And that's it, basically. You can look at race if you want. Yeah, but this is basically it. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, and then I have my example paper on Blackboard that you can use to help you write your results as well.